I don't remember any of it.
You don't remember?
For you, the day bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 199. Just a reminder before we start that you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. Check out all of the fine podcasts featured on there at www.gamingpodcastalliance.com. Like Pixie Gaming, if you are looking for more gaming goodness. And finally, we are giving away one copy of Pokemon Sword or Shield for the Nintendo Switch. This is the last episode of the year. This is your last chance to enter, and the secret code this week is the Galar region. If you missed the previous episode's secret codes, please go back and listen to those December episodes. They are great, and send us those codes. And you can send us those codes via DM, private message us on social media, or email us at info@ratedgforgamers.com for entry. Note that you can enter once per episode, and we will be dropping codes all December long. Well, this is the final episode of December, so this will be the final code. So good luck to everyone who enters. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan. I'm going to party like it's 2019, Robinson.
What's going on, man? No, you know what? I'm partying like it's 1999.
See, I was worried that joke may not necessarily work. But,
I don't think it works because no one else other than us old people get it.
Well, I mean, you know, rest in peace, Prince. Man was a genius. He's a rock and roll legend, R&B legend, pop legend.
He saw the future. He knew how he was going to party. 15 years for making that song.
That's exactly right. Fantastic song. Forever shall be a New Year's classic. But yeah, it's the final episode of the year, Dan. You know
what that means, though, right? You know what that means? That means we have to recap the year that was.
That is correct. So on this very special episode, this final episode, episode 199, we are one episode away from episode 200, which will be our first episode of the year, and it will be a big episode. We are going to do a year in review. We're going to take a look back at all the news that came out. We're going to take a look back at the decade that was. We can't look at
all the news, but we'll look at the top news of not last week, but last year.
That's right. We're gonna look at the games, best games of the decade, right? And
wow, that's right. This is the end of an era.
That's right.
Decade.
That's right. 2010 to 2019, the teens. But
you know what? You know what I loved about 2019? I hit a milestone. I hit 3,000 games earlier.
Oh, you did, Dan. You did. I think I want to say around like February. I remember putting the graphic together for you. I was so proud. My little Dan Robinson, all grown up, 3,000 games. It's he's turning into a full-fledged collector over here. It's insane. I can't keep up.
I remember when we first did the show. I think I was probably at 1,000 games even.
Jeez, yeah, you had that one small stand, and you had all those games kind of tucked in there. And you showed me, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to spread this out. I don't think I have enough. And then you got that first black what was it, like shelf. 3-shelf? Yeah.
No, it's a 4-shelf.
4-shelf cabinet, and then you spread everything out, and you're like, I have a lot more games than I thought I did.
and then I got four. I got 4 more of those shelves. And I got a lot of shelves. Actually.
Yeah. And you were just telling me off the mics that you reorganized and you now have even more room.
I have more room.
I don't understand.
I find a way. Listen, like they say, life finds a way. In Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's right.
The collection finds a way to make more room for more stuff.
You're like a freaking David Copperfield over here, right?
Yeah.
You're turning something out of nothing. It's crazy. I don't know how you do it, because I say I'm out of space, and I have a fairly big apartment, and you over here, like, not that you have a cramped space. You certainly have a nice space down there, but I'm like, I don't know how you're going to fit anything else, and then you managed to make it happen, which is, it's just amazing.
I'm just
so credit to you.
By games. I'm just surrounded by games.
Mm-hmm. So
you hit a milestone too this year.
Well,
I mean, before we hit I'm at right now officially like 3,300, right?
Ooh,
so after I hit 3,000, I got like another 300 games. So I'm at 3,300. I'm gonna kind of slow down a little bit on the retro. I say that every year. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, Ted, come on now. I was saying that to myself in my head, and then I bought games on 3 separate occasions before Christmas and 2 separate occasions after Christmas.
Nice.
You can't not. Like, the savings are just too good. And like, I totally forgot, because Square was having their sale again. Like, the holiday sale is still going on, so just about everything is 50% off.
I know. I told you about that.
Yeah, I went ham on the sale, and I totally forgot that I haven't received those games yet. So there's a whole nother like 12, 13 games coming. So I'm gonna be swimming in it. But yeah, you had the 3K milestone, which was amazing. That's a big number to hit. I hit over 1,000 games, and I was very happy. I think that also happened very, very early on in the year. I want to say I'm at like 1,200, 1,300 now. I have to be at least at that. I got to go check my list again, but yeah, that was just kind of wild and epic. And then I finally got to put up the Red Dead poster that I had.
I know.
I had that.
That's crazy that you got a Red Dead poster from like a train station.
That's right. That's right. Just walking down to the Utica subway stop, and some guy was taking it off. It was right place, right time. Somebody else came up too, right? So it was like, it was me and this other guy, and we kind of stepped up almost exactly the same time, and then we like kind of locked eyes, and I'm like, I really want it, dude. And I'm like, he's like, all right. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I took it. And
it could have been a Mortal Kombat fight to the death, but
it could have been a Mortal Kombat to the death. Yeah. See, that guy doesn't know that I have like Scorpion Spirit technology. All right. He would have been in. He would have been in for a bad time. Let me tell you.
Well, I mean, if you want to take a broader sort of look back. I mean, we started the show this decade, which is great, right? We both our collection came from humble beginnings.
Oh yes, it did.
So it's been a fun decade, right?
Most definitely, yeah.
From the midway point to the end, it's been awesome. I've got back into collecting. I've gotten back into games. And then who knew that we would have history with the Order 1886 being nominated 3 years in a row for Game of the Year?
That's right, baby.
The only game in history.
The only game in history to be nominated, not once, not twice, 3 times in a row. That is a dynasty in terms of nominations, all right?
I know. They like the Buffalo Bills. They keep getting to the Super Bowl and not winning.
Yeah, they just can't make it.
So,
that's crazy. That's crazy, yeah. And still no talk of the Order 1887, right? What's going on?
We gotta wait for the PlayStation 5, man.
I see. We got to get those next gen graphics, and then maybe we'll get a 10-hour game.
They just need to add 1 more hour. I'm telling you.
I mean, we need to add like 5 more hours.
Come on, you want to find every newspaper that's in the game. Right?
I missed like 2 of them. All right, it wasn't that hard.
2 of them too.
It wasn't that hard.
I almost platinumed it.
Damn, man.
But you know what? Let's not look at the decade just yet. Let's just stick with 2019. It is time that we give our nominees for the 2019 Game of the Year.
Oh, if we had a drum roll sound effect, we would insert that drum roll sound effect here. So just pretend.
Here. So just like we've done all decade, since we've been doing the show. You will nominate 5 games, and I will nominate 5 games.
That is correct. Now, the question is, does a one Mr. Dan Robinson want to go first? Or will he let me have the honors of going first?
I will give you the honors of going first. What is your first nominee?
My first nominee is a little-known game called Control.
You mean the first horror Star Wars game?
Yeah, right. Star Wars, my first horror game. Yeah, you do get psychic powers. You do get to use guns, weird shape-shifting guns. There's a lot of like weird stuff going on in this government bureau, this agency or whatever. Love the story. Love the overall art aesthetic, the kind of design. Everything had kind of hard, angular edges. There was a lot of not a lot of color, funny enough. So when you kind of did see the color, it kind of popped out a little bit. Lots of grays and blacks. Yeah, just kind of weird. I put a decent amount of time into it. Yeah, I loved it. Surprisingly, brand new game, brand new IP. Not really based off anything. Remedy Games. I think it's Remedy, right? Remedy.
Yeah. No, you're correct.
It came out the gate swinging. Let me tell you.
Talking about Alan Wake. They made Alan Wake. They made Quantum Break, which I thought was great.
Sure.
Not totally well received, but I thought it was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. So
right.
what about you? What about your first pick, Dan?
My first pick. I'm gonna say underrated in the gaming sphere this year. Gears 5.
Underrated.
I think people underrated this one.
Overshadowed by other games, I would say. But sure, okay. It's pretty solid. I was playing it over the break.
First time we got to play as a female protagonist as the main lead
as Kate. Yep.
It's Kate Diaz in the sort of not the first act, but all the acts after the first act. Right.
They do a little switch on you.
Kate
yeah,
Diaz.
It's great. You
get to know more about her story, and you get to play as her, and more of a personal story. And the first Gears that wasn't totally linear, and you get to branch out and do different missions, to your liking.
I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I am digging where I'm at. I think I'm in the beginning of chapter 2 right now. Right.
You're way off. Once you get when you branch out from the team and you play as Kate, and you branch off from the rest of the team, and you sort of get sort of like this wind sky skater, where you're skating around in the ice and stuff.
Oh, sure.
Then you can sort of play each mission to however you want.
That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I respect the shakeup to the series, right? Because a lot of it's kind of been, bravado, machismo. Let's get out there and kick some heads in and whatnot. And that was great. I love like the first couple of games, but the formula was kind of the same. So it's it's cool that they're mixing things up, and you get the. Well, good.
Well, I will say this. I mean, it is cool that they mix things up. I sort of love to know where they go. I'm more of a linear person personally.
Sure.
But they do have a lot of side missions which you can do to your leisure. You don't even have to do the side missions at all.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's a little bit more open world once you get past sort of, again, when you get to play as Kate after that first act. But I will say the ending, I want to know, there's obviously they left room for Gear 6 because they sort of left with like a big cliffhanger.
Yeah. But
you make a choice at the end. So, and the choice will either pull in your heartstrings one way or the other.
Oh,
so
boy.
It's how they're going to start Gear 6 is very interesting.
Yeah, right.
Well, they're going to see that until 2021 or 2022.
Well, they're most likely going to have to squash one of those decisions and go with one particular path. I'm assuming if it's like the choice that you have to make in the game, like
you have to make the choice.
Right, exactly. So I think they have to either say this is canon or this is canon.
I think they'll probably put everyone down one path and put you on that path with feelings one way or the other.
Sure.
Right.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely on my way to beat that game. It's I'm playing on hard, and it's not.
Oh, so you got another 2 years before you get it.
It's actually not that difficult. I'm having a pretty easy time with it. And I don't fancy myself a good Gears player, so I think it may be a little bit on the easy side, honestly. But that's okay. That's okay because I get the achievement, right? I'm finding all the collectibles, so we're all good.
Oh God! Wait till you get to the last.
Yeah.
The last act.
Don't tell me.
Man, you're in the beginning. That's why.
Yeah, I know. I know. All right. So
you've played all of the Order 1886 essentially. Right?
Yeah, that's right. I played the intro, the appetizer.
All right. So what's your next nominee?
My number 4 is a sequel to a game that kind of came out of the blue and was a smash hit on the Wii U, and that's Super Mario Maker 2. Dan.
Oh,
love this game. Love
game
this
that's
game.
still being supported by Nintendo right now.
Yeah,
with the Zelda skin.
Right. They just had the Zelda update to it, which was fantastic. Your community is great. All the custom levels that come out of it is great. All the new features, the new themes in this game with the with kind of the nighttime and the ice levels and the desert levels. There's so much more you can do now, which is amazing. I just wish they would bring back amiibo support for the original Super Mario Brothers skin. Right, all of the Pokemon amiibo, and I think some extra ones on top of that. Oh, no, not a Pokemon amiibo, a Smash amiibo, were compatible, and you could get mushrooms that would turn you into that particular character, which was awesome. I want to go run around as Mega Man or like Pac-Man, but I can't. So, Other than that, the game is fantastic. Infinite replayability. And they got that 100%. They got the story mode in there, which was like kind of cool. You're rebuilding the castle, so that was kind of neat. But yeah, solid pick.
It's something that will never be. It's never ending because people will always still make levels, right? Mm-hmm. So, and if they keep supporting it with stuff like the Zelda skin, which is we talked about as maybe a tease or precursor to maybe a Zelda Maker, maybe one day, right? Right. People always make sort of crazy levels. So I just think they need to curate it a little bit better. That would be my only issue with the game.
Agreed.
Right, because they leave it up to the community, and some people can sort of hate bomb certain levels of
yeah. It's the problem when you have public when you let the public opinion kind of vote on things.
The same thing can be said for their eShop. So, but that's another argument.
Sure, also true. Yeah.
My next nominee is a little game that you may have heard of from a series you may have heard of that sort of people forgot about because it came out a little bit earlier in the year, towards the midway of the year, and that is Devil May Cry 5.
Oh, right. To be honest, I have yet to get to this game. As good as it looks,
this game is fantastic on a day scale. This was my half game of the year. Too, to be fair. I think this is a game that people don't give enough credit to. It's more Devil May Cry, just with better mechanics. I love the story. You get to play as different characters in the story as well, and you can beat the game essentially in the first 5 minutes, just like Zelda.
Oh, no way! That's crazy.
I know, and then there's nothing else to do after after the first 5 minutes. If you actually win, there's nothing else to do. So,
all right.
This game, I can't say enough about this game. The microtransactions don't bother me as much.
See, you're a better man than me, Dan, because I feel like they may get to me a little bit, but
well, you know why? Because you could buy rubies or emeralds or the red rubies or whatever emeralds. I forgot what they call it. I haven't picked. I have to beat it. I'm about like 8 hours in. I didn't beat it yet. I'm like towards the end. So I forgot exactly what it's called, rubies or emeralds or whatever. But you could buy the red gems if you want to make upgrades. Right. And again, there's no multiplayer, so it's not hurting anybody. And for someone who plays a lot of games and has limited time, buying the rubies so you can do more upgrades is something that works for me. Right. It's not like it's Apex Legends or anything where you're playing against other people and you have a decided advantage when it comes to the microtransactions. But
I will agree. I will agree in the sentiment that obviously we are grown men gamers and don't have a lot of time. So being able to like enjoy the, you know, the story bits in the game and having like a easy upgrade path, whether it be with or without microtransactions, like, you know, the sentiment I can 100% get behind, right? We don't have enough time to play on ultra hardcore difficulty mode and slog through, and, you know, we don't have infinite time. So, you know, we want to be able to get to all these great games.
To me, I was never a Devil May Cry fan. I played, again, you know, I got into gaming a little bit later. I got back into gaming, I should say, a little bit later. So Bayonetta was always like my favorite when it came to these sort of type of games. So this was like more Bayonetta with sort of slightly better story. That wasn't, I mean, both stories are out there, but this was like a Bayonetta for me. A Bayonetta with harder boss battles, because the boss battles are definitely not button mashy like they are for Bayonetta games. So I really think that Devil May Cry 5 is underappreciated and will become sort of a hidden gem when people look back at this generation.
All right. So my next pick here is a indie darling. In my eyes, very much an indie game. It is a roguelike card building battler, I guess is the way to explain it. And it's called Slay the Spire. Right, I talked about it a little bit on the show because I've been playing it a little bit. I picked it up in December. Right, it's on the Switch, which is nice, as well as all major consoles and Steam and PC and all that. So you can definitely get it across the board. It's not locked or gated. It's very easy to get. It's a $30 game, I think, for the Nintendo Switch. So the price is right. But essentially, you play as one of three characters, right? You can play as the warrior barbarian dude. You can play as the rogue dude, or you can play as the wizard type character, right? Which is like my guy, like the defect they call him.
That's your dude.
Yeah, the wizard guy. They call him the defect, which is like great. And he's this like, I think he's a mechanical being, right? Because you see like some of the art for it, and he's got like a spring for a neck, and this weird like wooden plank for a face with like some weird orbs on it. It's weird art going on in the game. But essentially, like you every time you play, it's a randomly generated map. And you have to get through like 3 different acts, right? And you're kind of making your way up this tower or through the city. And you start off with like a handful of cards, and you battle, and there's like the battle mechanics. And after every battle, you have the option to add more cards to your deck, right? So your deck is always evolving. And you can like transform and mutate cards and upgrade cards and remove certain cards, because like sometimes you'll get cards that kind of give you negative effects, you know, for whatever reason, right? You're like, here, you can have this gold, but then you get this curse, and it's like, well, and you can like try and remove them from your deck, or like remove cards that aren't useful anymore. It's really kind of neat. I'm pretty big on this game. I was very surprised by it. I saw some early, I think beta access of it from some YouTubers, and I'm like, I get behind this game. And the Switch physical comes out, forget it. You know I'm on board. So, yeah.
Okay. And fair enough, I have not played this game at all. This is probably the only game out of all the nominees that I haven't played at all.
Sure.
So it's something that I actually need to try.
I would say try it. You know, the next time you're over, you know, you can go ahead and you know, see if you like it, give it a spin. It's not necessarily your game, but then again, you know, you have like things like Mario Rabbids, which is more like kind of tactical strategy. So, yeah.
My next nominee needs no introduction. A game that came out on Halloween. It's a game that took over my life for at least 2 weeks while I was in the bus going to work, or coming home from work, and that is Luigi's Mansion 3.
That's right, our October giveaway, baby. This is a fantastic game. It's the third in the series, right? Hence the 3.
Third in the series. I mean, I played the original Luigi's Mansion for the first time on the 3DS. I didn't play it on the GameCube, and I played the second. I played Dark Fate first. The Dark Fate was the
Dark
first.
Moon?
Dark Moon, sorry.
Dark Moon,
yeah. Was the first. You know what? I'm thinking of Castlevania.
Circle of the Moon, or
I'm thinking of the Castlevania game that was like Fate in the name, one of the 3DS games.
Oh,
something, yeah. So I played Dark Moon first, and then when the port the port from GameCube to the 3DS came out. I played that. So I played the original second. I played the original after I played the second one. So the third one, I got like 3 floors left. I have to go back to that game. It's fantastic. I mean, each level, each floor, because you're not in a mansion, so to speak. You're in a hotel.
And
theme.
Right.
And I think my favorite floors are the television floor, where you're like sort of like in a television.
So it's kind of like Poltergeist then, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So you're like in a movie set or television set.
Yeah.
Or the one that you play very early, and that's sort of like medieval times. And the mechanics are great. Guiji, something that brings a different dynamic to the puzzle elements, right? Where it's like, how do I get out of here? Well, you got to use Guiji somehow, some way. Who he can walk through spikes and stuff, right? So it makes you think, and it gives you challenges that you would never even think of.
Oh, nice.
Definitely, I will say this game I have not played. I only played on the Switch Lite, so I haven't played it on the big screen on my 60-inch. So I gotta say, listen, this is the best Luigi's Mansion game out of the series, and nice. I hope
that's what I was gonna ask.
I hope, with that with the Luigi, and you can use the plunger to like, you can actually use the plunger to grab on things and throw things around, right? Those type of mechanics. I hope this shows Nintendo that the series, can live on, and we can get a Luigi's Mansion 4. Because I know Luigi didn't do so well. We had nothing but
back in like 2011, I think.
Yeah, but they
it's a nice idea.
No, 2012 or 13.
No, 12. Yeah.
Yeah, but they also have to remember the year of Luigi was also the year of the Wii U. So.
Yeah. Not a good. Definitely not a good year for Nintendo.
Yeah. So if you're a Luigi's Mansion fan, if you like the first two or one of the first two, you would love this one. This is the best in the series.
Nice. So my second pick, very contentious. We here at Rated G, that is Dan and Dave. We behind the scenes had some spirited discussions, I think, over whether remakes should be allowed to be included in kind of Game of the Year talks. We talked with our...
Well, just for the record, we did talk. We spoke with Matt. Matt gave a spirited argument for why it should, and we came to a decision. Just Rated G, me and you. We came to a decision that remakes. We came up with sort of a general blanket rule that remakes, depending on how much new is in the game, can make it into the Game of the Year discussion, but not remasters.
Like I think it's a case by case basis, right? Because some games do a lot and some games do a little, and then it's like, well, if you didn't really do that much, what are you really innovating on, right? If it's just a fresh coat of paint, a la say Final Fantasy VIII that came out this year, which just had a resolution bump, really, and a couple of other small things, it's like, it's really still the same game, all right? But my number 2 pick here, Resident Evil 2, is, they basically started with a clean slate of marble. And it shows everything from the ground up, from the graphics, the game engine, the camera angles, even I think some story bits were kind of changed around a little bit. Added in a hell of a ton of new modes, bunch of new costumes and whatnot, some nods to some old Resident Evil stuff, and I just thought the whole thing as a whole was amazing. And I got to the end of that game doing the Leon Kennedy run, and it was fantastic. Like, I really want to go back. We want to go back and play Clara Redfield and see kind of how that goes out, because she's got a slightly different playthrough, and some things change. You go into different areas and whatnot, and paths kind of intertwine, I think, at some point. But I was very impressed with what Capcom did here, and honestly, like, if the remake of 3 is as good as what they did with 2, I'm going to be one happy camper.
I can get past the first 20 minutes. I play.
Well, I mean,
I have it.
You don't like horror games.
I don't,
and
like
that's okay.
Games.
And that's
I
okay.
don't like spooky games.
That's okay. You get a little scared. It's fine.
I don't like the jump scares. I'm sorry. I don't like to be chased by zombies in the dark, and I have a flashlight.
There's also the randomness of Mr. X. You technically don't know when he's going to bust through a wall or show up around a corner, and then the music comes in, and then you're just
I think I probably would break my controller.
You just gotta like mod it and turn him into Thomas the Tank, and then he's far less creepy, or maybe more creepy. Who knows?
Well, you know what? Send him into Thomas the Tank with the John Cena music.
There you go. Just see him busting through a door. I would die.
I can't do it. Well, since we have the rule that all remakes with significant upgrades, some stuff with significant newness, as I like to call it, I have to include Link's Awakening.
Sure.
On the Switch. This game took over my whole September, and it was our September giveaway.
Yeah, man. That it was.
This was the first Zelda game I ever beat, mind you. I still haven't beat Breath of the Wild. I'm at the end.
Yeah, Dan. You're approaching Batman Arkham Asylum levels. You're going to be on year 4, I think, coming up pretty soon.
I went back to play the DLC and just never.
Oh my God! Just beat Ganon, man. It's easy now. You probably kill him in one hit. Take out the Master Sword, boom, boom.
You know why? Because it was just like, you know what? I didn't care about. It's like if I beat Ganon, I'm not going to go back if they do anything else to the game.
But they're not. They're done with it now. There's no more DLC.
Once we get the announcement of Breath of the Wild 2, which we know it's coming, but once we get an actual release date, then I'll go back and beat it.
You're killing me, Dan. But all right.
So this was the first Zelda game I ever beat. It was fantastic. I finally get the whole Zelda model because I didn't grow up with Zelda like other people, right? Like I never got it as a kid. I played it at a friend's house, and that's a game that you can't just stop and go. You need to invest time in playing and getting good, right?
Yep.
I never had that experience growing up, so I'm not nostalgic for Zelda. So this was the first Zelda game where I beat, and I was like, oh, I get it now why people love Zelda all these years later, right? So, and it was the first Zelda game other than Breath of the Wild, where me and you were talking about it because you were playing at the same time, and it was just like, oh, did you beat that dungeon? Yeah, I beat that dungeon. I already got there, and then I got this, and I got the colors, right? And it's like I was telling you things you didn't even know. You can go back to the color dungeon and change your color.
Yeah. If you want to get the attack power, the defense power, they included everything from the DX update. They whole new fresh coat of paint, brand new graphics engine, which is amazing, and the secret dungeon maker thing was great. I thought that was kind of cool.
And then, the dungeon maker I didn't really touch. Somewhat, I mean, I touched a little bit.
Sure.
Some people liked it. People were really mad that you couldn't share it with friends. Really, other than if you had an amiibo.
I mean, they certainly could have done a lot more with it, which I really thought they should have, but. You know, that's maybe that's them dipping the toes in Zelda Maker.
Dipping the toes in,
right? You know, because I mean, like by all accounts, next year at E3 we'll probably get an announcement for a Legend of Zelda Maker.
You think so? Wow.
Well, think about it. I mean, like they had the update in Mario Maker 2, which had some Zelda-like updates, right? And now we have the Dungeon Maker in Link's Awakening, right? I feel like they're just kind of like trying it out and like, hey, maybe we could do this because certainly they're kind of talking about it behind the scenes, kind of trying to work all the details out, like how it would kind of fly, what power ups would you get, like how would you be able to build the levels, what games they would be able to pull on. You know, it's not an easy task, but
it's not by any means.
But anyway, without further ado, my number one pick, the most controversial game of all year, the only game to be nominated before it came out, right? I think it may be the only game to hold that honor because there was so much fervor behind it, because the creator of this game is so well regarded and he makes masterpieces, in my opinion, that I had to put up on the block, technically as my first nominee, Death Stranding by Hideo Kojima for the PlayStation 4. Is a beautiful piece of gaming, right?
It's the greatest walking simulator ever to be made.
God damn it, Dan. God damn it. God damn it. That's the whole point of the game. They boiled all the open world bullshit down to, you remember those fetch quests that you hate? Well, we're gonna make those fun. And they did. Some people didn't like it, but that's how you make the filler in most other games, the padding that people hate and don't like, because it's just like bring this from point A to point B. They made it fun. There's mechanics. You got to balance yourself. You got to make sure you're not carrying too much stuff, and you got to make it over this disastrous terrain. You got to avoid enemies. Sometimes you get into fisticuffs and you have to fight. But it's incredible. Like the music stings in that game, the way the world comes together, just the story. I'm still pretty early in the game, but my God, that's my pick. That's my number one. So what do you got, Dan? Your number one.
If you're gonna go with Death Stranding, which again,
I am.
I think it's the best movie game ever to be made.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah.
I have to go with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. I mean, my God, you want to talk about coming from behind? I mean, EA with the other Star Wars games that they had with the microtransaction controversy. No microtransactions in this game. Not a multiplayer game at all. Single player experience. You are the ultimate Jedi as you learn and improve your Jedi powers. This game, Metroid. This is a Metroid. It's just a Metroid game. I'm sorry, I can't say Ving. I just can't. I'm sorry. It's a Metroid. Metroid.
We've definitely had this discussion earlier this year. Yeah. Fair enough.
It is a Metroid-style game where you get to go back to the planet after upgrading on another planet.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Definitely not a perfect game. Has some glitches.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest issue people have isn't so much with the game, but with the principle that George Lucas said that cutting off a limb of a human should be something that's big. So nothing in the Star Wars universe, game, comic book, anything, where you can't cut off a limb. You just can't. Like, you just can't cut off a limb in a video game of a human being. You can destroy a droid in like one swipe, but you can't cut a human's arm off. Because it's something that should be priceless in one of the movies. Right?
Because that happened in episode 6 when like Luke got his hand cut off and it was supposed to be like this kind of big thing. So I would definitely call foul a little bit on that.
Well, technically he sold the franchise to Disney.
Yeah.
With the exception of
that one caveat.
Keep that rule in place forever. Forever, ever. 100 years from now when we get Star Wars episode 25. Right?
So weird. Weird.
We're not going to get any limbs cut off unless it's in the movies because it's a big thing.
Right. Okay.
So
yeah, I started this game a little bit late because I was waiting for the good deal, which never came because, well, it's a AAA title, it's brand new, and it's amazing, so they know people are going to buy it. But it never went on sale. Actually, no, that's not true. I got it for I think
You got $10 off.
I got it for $10 cheaper, right? I think I got it on Amazon or something for $10 cheaper. So I'll take it. The opening bits are quite amazing. The whole train sequence is amazing. Up until you get to the end of the train, like I was like, okay, I see what Dan's talking about. I'm in on this. So definitely do not fault you on that pick. Oh no, you kidding me? No way.
Listen. Get to the end. Get to the boss battle.
And
for all Star Wars fans, it's worth the wait.
Yeah. All right.
It is like when you hit the end, you're gonna be like, oh my god.
Trust me, I'll get to it. Don't worry.
So those are our nominees. Let's just recap real quick. We got Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. We got Death Stranding. We got Resident Evil 2. We got Link's Awakening. We got Luigi's Mansion 3, Slay the Spire, Devil May Cry 5, Super Mario Maker 2, Gears 5, and Control. Those are our 10 games, our 10 Game of the Year nominees for the year 2019. So listen to episode 200 and you'll get our Game of the Year of 2019. But until then, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the sort of the top news of 2019. And we're back. Let's get into the top news of 2019. All right. I mean, there was a lot of news.
Yeah, it was a big year for news. Big year for news.
It was a big year for news.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, we're going to miss some things. We're not going to go over everything. So if we miss anything that you wanted us to cover, please hit us up on social media. Hit us up on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to try and go in chronological order, but I may be off on a little bit of some things. So let's start with this. This year was big because Bungie split from Activision, right? They split from their overlord of Activision with the microtransactions. And,
I think
not only that, but they got to keep the rights to Destiny, so they can put out Destiny however they want it without having Activision, which was a big blunder on Activision's part, because I remember, if my memory serves me correctly, because this happened like in January, this happened early 2019. Stockholders for Activision were not happy that they let them take Destiny with them when they left.
Yeah, of course. Like I think you hit on two very good points. One, that Activision is a terrible publishing company, right? And I think they were kind of bleeding the franchise dry. Good for Bungie that they got to be able to keep their IP, because I guess if you want to take Konami and Kojima. Kojima didn't get to keep Metal Gear, right? Because it was made while he was working for Konami, so they own the rights to it. He was just kind of producing those games. So I want to know how they were able to do that.
Well, I'm more interested in not how they were able to do that, because I'm sure maybe Activision, because the player base dropped on Destiny 2 dramatically, right?
Yeah.
So Activision probably didn't see any.
They didn't see the value in it, I guess.
They didn't see the value in keeping the Destiny franchise. Mm-hmm. But I'm more interested in what's Bungie going to do with Destiny going forward. Will we get a Destiny 3? What's going to happen with Destiny 2 online?
Well, they've already made some kind of minor updates and whatnot since the break, and fans seem to be pretty positive on it, I think, from like what I've seen. So I think it's kind of moving in a good direction.
I think we're gonna. I mean, this is not the last we're gonna hear Destiny. We're gonna have a Destiny 3 definitely in next generation, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. Mm-hmm. But they're gonna do things. They're gonna listen to the community compared to when they were sort of, beholden to Activision,
right?
And doing what Activision and the stockholders wanted them to do to sort of monetize it, right. Mm-hmm. So that was big news early in the year. And also early in the year, also in January of 2019, we found out, unfortunately, but fortunately, so it's unfortunately, but fortunately, that Metroid Prime 4 production of Metroid Prime 4 was being halted by Nintendo and rebooted and given to Retro Studios. So it was going to, whatever was done on Metroid Prime 4 definitely wasn't in the right direction for what Nintendo wanted for the franchise, and Retro coming back to the franchise, rebooting the series, rebooting whatever that project was. We will never know. Well, hopefully one day we'll know, right? Maybe gaming historian will have a story on it 10 years from now.
Right.
What Metroid Prime 4 was prior to it being rebooted. So
yeah, it's weird that, and I'm pretty sure we talked about it at the time too, when Retro wasn't involved when they announced Metroid Prime 4, and it was an in-house effort, but they're bringing on some other people, and I think maybe Namco Bandai.
Namco Bandai was heading.
I think they got a hand in it. Yeah, and it just wasn't shaping up in the same way. They tried this once with, or maybe even twice with Tecmo, right? I think like Team Ninja did Metroid Other M. And
that's right.
It's a very, very polarizing game for various reasons. We don't necessarily need to go into all that, but it was different than kind of the retro games in kind of gameplay and artistic tone and story and whatnot. And I think Nintendo may have kind of looked at what Namco Bandai did or whoever was involved, and they're like, this isn't up to the Nintendo Gold, the Nintendo seal of quality, right? We got to go back. Let's go ahead and get retro, because they were making the Donkey Kong games up until that point, right? Some of the most recent ones, and they were really well received.
And there was a rumor this year that they were doing Star Fox Grand Prix, right? So we had like a Star Fox racing game.
Yep.
As well.
Yep. Which would have been super cool.
Which was rumored to be at E3, would never get announced at E3.
Yeah. It turned out to be Starlink.
No, Starlink. I have 2 Starlink Switch games. Why do I have 2 Starlink Switch games? Because one, it will stay in the box.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it's $10 now. I spent $100 when it first came out.
Right.
Last holiday season. Now it's like $10. You can't even give these things away. And so another one I opened up just so I can take out the ship and have it ship out, just because I wanted to. And I did, and I hustled backwards because I should have took the ship out of the one that I bought when it was $100. I unsealed the new one that I bought just to take the ship out. So I have 2 boxes that are both open. So hustling backwards, I tell you. But it's okay because I can spend $10 and go buy another one.
Well, that's true. You could. You could. Yeah.
I can have 3.
They're like fire sale and that stuff now. So there's also rumors that there's multiple Metroid games in production, possibly 3. One of those was a speculated remake of Super Metroid. So fingers crossed on that one. But definitely looking forward to Metroid Prime 4. If not next year, the year after, maybe 2021.
So Phil Spencer, I told you, is my favorite gaming, the face of gaming right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Reggie Fils-Aimé retired this year. He was my favorite face of gaming. My body is ready. Right? So Reggie was my guy. And then it was announced that he would be retiring in 2019 and Doug Bowser would be taking over, which is a fitting name for someone who will be taking over as president of Nintendo. And
couldn't have been a better replacement. It's insane. It's insane. Yeah, I mean, Reggie has moved on to more academic endeavors, right? He's teaching at Harvard, is it?
Cornell.
Cornell University, right? He's kind of bringing his knowledge over there. So he's a teacher in residence or something, I think they're calling it.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he always I mean, he's more so teaching marketing and business, but he always reaches for his video game heritage to sort of convey the message he's trying to convey to his student.
Yeah, the man, the myth, the legend. He was at the Game Awards, very, very fittingly, I think. Perfect attendance record, as Dan likes to say. He's never missed a Game Awards.
So that's true. That's an incredible feat. Right? That he's never missed a Game Awards.
I know.
So, and also Nintendo, big news this year, something that was widely speculated and the worst kept secret, that we got any SNES games part of the Nintendo Online service.
Yeah. It was a long time coming, considering that the SNES Classic has been out. They've done emulation on the Wii and the Wii U, and 3DS I think also had it too in their eShop. So you could download these games for a while. And it's why aren't they on the Switch yet? And now we have a glorious small selection of Super Nintendo games. Mm-hmm.
Finally, we got the greatest game of all time. If you listen to episode 198, and it's Super Mario World on the Nintendo Online server.
Yeah, exactly. Like the best game for Super Nintendo, Super
or
Mario
any
World.
other system,
Super Mario World
ever.
I mean, if you take out Super Mario Brothers 3, then I would agree with you. But
Super Mario Brothers 3, the second best game on the NES. Yeah.
No. Best game ever. Get out of here. Best game ever. But yeah, no. I mean,
we got a wireless controller, not in the same vein as the Joy-Cons, like the NES Joy-Cons.
They're just like Bluetooth capable. Yeah.
They're just Bluetooth capable. Sold out. Still sold out. However, if you go to Nintendo website, it does tell you in January they have more to announce. So hopefully they'll be back in stock in January, which
Indeed.
I will be buying.
Yeah. So the question is, like, how long do you think before the N64 games get put on this system? Because we did have N64 games on the Wii.
In 2020.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think it may take a little bit longer. I want to be able to play. I was just going to say GoldenEye, but they don't have the license for that anymore. I just want to be able to play Super Mario 64 on the Switch on the go, because I've never beaten that game, and the only way I believe that I would go and beat that game would be on the Nintendo Switch, emulated in the Nintendo Online.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we got an announcement for a new player has entered the arena of video games, and that is Google Stadia.
I think you got to
Google Stadia. You think what?
I think you got to put quotations around the word player.
Yeah.
Right. So
you got to put quotations. You got to underline it.
Yeah. So we got to put it in italics. So we got the announcement and the subsequent release for backers. Right. They got to get their hands on it. It had a rocky start, even from the announcement, and it came out, and it's still kind of not quite there. I think that's fair to say about this, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not there.
You know, we've been kind of secondhand critical. Obviously, we haven't had our hands on it, but everybody says there's massive amounts of lag. Just the interface.
Which come on, like, you have to understand. Like, of course, there's going to be lag, especially with something.
Yeah, but there's way too much though, and that's the problem. Like, maybe it's just not ready. Maybe the tech's not ready. Right, and that's what's been holding back streaming services all this time is the amount of inherent lag. Like, how much data can you get back and forth, and then from the time you press the A button, how long does it take your guy to jump? And Google obviously haven't solved that problem yet necessarily. Some people are reporting almost no lag in certain areas.
Those people live in major cities with the most perfect internet connection.
But then there's other people in major cities who also have like lag issues. So it's weird. It's very kind of hit or miss.
All over the place.
Yeah.
But
so
overall, it's a wait, right? Like, everyone's saying wait, and this is the beta, and I think it wasn't ready, and they knew it wasn't ready, but they wanted to beat everybody else to the punch, because we got Amazon, Verizon, both rumored to be in the streaming game business, right?
Sure. And they definitely have. Well, sorry. They definitely have the tech behind them, right?
Yeah.
They have
the tech and the money.
Yeah.
And then you have Project xCloud from Xbox coming out. So I think they really wanted to beat them to the market, even with all the issues. It's just you paid to get to be in the beta, essentially.
Yeah.
But something happened. Something happened around the same time, because Google Stadia got announced at GDC. Right? The worst kept secret ever. We knew that's what they were going to announce at GDC. You're like, why is Google at GDC? They don't make games.
Yeah, right. They're a research engine company.
Something happened around that time. It's like, what's the saying? The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's right. I think that's a Sun Tzu Art of War thing, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
Sony and Microsoft teamed up on cloud technology, right? They teamed up to come together to get to build streaming technology, unbeknownst to the PlayStation team and the Xbox team. It's not Xbox and PlayStation came together. Sony as a company and Microsoft as a company came together to team up. And people were tweeting, like, the PlayStation team was tweeting, like, we didn't know this was happening.
Right.
Really?
Right.
We're gearing up for next generation where we're going to battle these guys, and we're teaming up with them to do cloud-based technology. Only because Google, Verizon, Amazon, all rumored. Well, two of them are rumored. One of them are already out with their beta. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm sorry for the Founders Edition, right? With all the issues they have. All have these big cloud, streaming service, which essentially we know is going to be the future of gaming in the, at the end of this decade or the next decade, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's almost here. Is kind of like really what it is, and it makes sense that Sony and Microsoft are kind of doing this, right? It's like, hey, look, we both have a mutual goal, right? Maybe we can kind of share some knowledge, and what is it? Tides lift all ships, right? So they're like, hey, look, maybe we can make a really good infrastructure, and then we can both kind of use that to put our platform out there, right? You can have your PlayStation platform, and we can have our Xbox platform, and Google can have their Stadia platform, and like maybe we can do like good kind of cohesive crossplay, right? You play in whatever hardware or service or whatever that you want, and you can kind of play with other people so that nobody's excluded, right? I feel like that's a little bit what this is behind the scenes, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a little bright-eyed in the outlook on this. But
no, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, again, like I said, it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So Microsoft and Sony are like, listen, we can't have Google get into this, right? We're trying to.
This is our turf.
we don't even see Nintendo as a threat, right? Because Nintendo is sort of the second console for everybody. So it's between me and you, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
We can't have somebody else come in here and invade our space. So let's team up, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
it's like when the Mega Powers came together. Let me tell you something, brother. Ooh, yeah, we're going to come together, the Mega Powers, and then they're going to fight at WrestleMania. So
it's a pretty good Hulk Hogan.
Well,
I got to give you credit.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to tell you, this is like the biggest thing that happened all year. I'm sorry, Dave. This is the biggest thing that happened all year.
That previous story was the biggest thing to happen all year.
No.
That Sony and Microsoft team up on tech, because
I don't give a shit about Sony and Microsoft teaming up on tech. That's not the biggest story. You have to know that the biggest story is that Telltale Games died and got revived this year.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a brief 6-month period with no Telltale Games, and now they're back.
Yes, they're back. They're back under another banner. They're back, and they're going to have better management. And we got new games like The Wolf Among Us 2 announced, right? And they're back.
Listen, I'm happy for you. It is definitely not the biggest news of the year.
It's the biggest news. TT Games.
Definitely not the biggest.
It's the real TT Games.
Right.
TT Games is back, baby. Telltale Games.
Traveler's Tales, by the way, is the other TT Games.
We're gonna get more continuous sort of stories in the franchise, episodic stories, but not the same way we used to, where we have to wait 6 months and figure out what happened. Hopefully, they said they would do something different, where we'll get episodic episodes, but all at once, where we can binge to our heart's desire.
Yeah, I'm honestly like I like this new like revival, rebirth, Phoenix from the ashes and all that stuff. I'm very surprised how quickly it got turned around, right?
Well, somebody bought them. So.
No, I know, but like even still, like, somebody obviously said, hey, there's like intrinsic value in this. We can't let this go. We have some money. Let's go ahead and buy them up and, do some restructuring and continue to put out games. So obviously now they're like putting money into a brand new engine, right? They're kind of changing the corporate culture, which, I think is great. And they're like, all right, look, we're going to do sequels. We're going to do new stuff. We're going to do it in the same kind of vein. Well, there's going to be a lot new, so here we go. So, looking forward to see what they do. See how they mix things up a little bit. Yeah.
And also big, not as big. I don't think it's equal.
No. This is the biggest. This is the biggest news of the decade, Dan. I'm sorry.
This is the biggest. I think this is. I could say this is number three on the Richter scale, right?
This is like 13 years in the making, Dan. Maybe 12 years in the making.
I'll let you announce
All right.
Since it's the second biggest news of the decade.
I'm sorry. This is the biggest news. One of the most beloved gaming franchises, right? The most anticipated sequel, I guess you can call it this. It's kind of like a prequel. It fits in between, I think, Half-Life 1 and 2, but that's Half-Life Alyx, which some people are calling Half-Life 3. It is a VR experience from Valve, specifically for the Valve HTC headsets, right? You're only going to be able to play it on there. This is insane. They dropped this bomb maybe like a month or two ago, I think like in November. The internet went crazy. They're like, oh my God, this is insane. Can't wait. And it's coming out March 2020. Come on now. That's huge. Even if you're not a Half-Life fan, the fact that there is so much of a buildup over it, the fact that fans put this series up on high, that there's thousands of memes about when Half-Life 3 is going to come out, right? Half-Life 3 confirmed. It's one of my favorite memes. But my God, we now have new Half-Life content. However you want to call it, it doesn't matter. It looks fantastic. I'm going to have to get me a headset, Dan. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's the second biggest news behind Telltale Games. Being revived for the I get it. No, it looks awesome. I mean, obviously it's because it's from Vive. It's going to come out on the Vive VR headset and not the PlayStation VR.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I would hold hope that this isn't exclusive, because there are more PlayStation PSVRs out there than there are Vive headsets. So hopefully, maybe not in March 2020, but maybe down the line in the holiday or 2021, they'll have a version out for the PSVR, and then I'll actually be able to play it.
They did put Halo on, or not Halo, sorry, Half-Life on the, it was on the original Xbox, I think. It was also on the 360 and the PS3, right. So it did get ports. Yeah.
Half-Life.
Hell, they almost had Half-Life on the Dreamcast until it got canceled. So. You can still get the strategy guides for it, but you can't get the game because it never got released. So they have been known to put things out.
But come on, we have to talk about what we did in early May, and that is we had a whole episode dedicated to Avengers Endgame.
Oh,
end of era.
That's right. That's right. 11 years. Started kicking off with the first Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. Fantastic movie. One of my favorites in the franchise. Definitely one of the best, I think, objectively. That kind of kicked everything off. We had an amazing 10-year run. I want to say, like 20, 25 movies maybe that were in this kind of MCU?
Yeah, you were close.
Right?
Something like that, yeah.
Right? And just like all the adventures, they were all amazing. They all intertwined in a way. Character crossovers, team-ups, a la the Avengers. And it all came to a head when they took down Thanos. Spoilers. But man, oof.
Well, at a cost. We won't spoil that part, but at a cost.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think you got to go big or go home, right? That's
go big or go home. I think in just taking it from 2019 to the decade or our existence as a podcast, I think we've only did three podcasts dedicated to movies, and the first one was Batman v Superman. I think Star Wars.
There was the Batman v Superman. I don't know if that was a completely dedicated. May have been a dedicated one.
That was dedicated.
Star Wars.
We didn't know how good or bad that movie was going to be.
Yeah, we did do Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and we also did the Avengers Endgame. Because there's certain movies that just need your love and attention, no matter how good or bad they may be.
Yeah, I mean, and Avengers was the best one.
Yes, 100%.
So it's just crazy how we have 199 episodes, and 3 of the episodes were dedicated just to movies.
Mm-hmm.
We had to, right? We just had to, because those were blockbuster, maybe life-changing movies.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we'd be remiss without ending this talk about 2019. We have to talk about we got next generation consoles officially announced, right? We got the Xbox. Well, it's just really called the Xbox, but that Xbox is the Series X version of the Xbox, which is so totally confusing. Announced at the Game Awards, and then I was right. Dan was right.
in the most obvious prediction of the year, the award goes to Dan Robinson and the PlayStation 5.
Thank you. PlayStation 5 officially announced for next year.
Yeah. Well, we do know that Xbox is putting out multiple versions. I think that's kind of the going rumor, which is
that's the rumor,
which is all but been confirmed, I think. So there still is potential for the Xbox Series Prime.
Oh my god!
Right? We were so certain that it was going to be called the Xbox Prime because you had the Xbox, then the 360, then the One in this kind of wholeness.
Well, we did have new consoles this year. We had the Xbox One SAD,
right? The all digital
version, which I brought over this holiday season on Black Friday, and we did have the Switch Lite, which you were close. You were so close. You called it the Light Switch.
Well, Nintendo was the one that messed up in this case, not me.
Okay,
they're the ones that dropped the ball.
All right, they dropped the ball. So I thought you were right on point with your logic of the we had the Xbox, we had the Xbox 360, we had the Xbox One, so Xbox
no, the Xbox Prime, why not? Because they like being number one. They like this kind of name out there, and it kind of exudes like, hey, Xbox One, oh, number one console, right? I'm sure that was going on in the boardroom when they kind of came up with Xbox One, even though everybody mocked them and said, well, what about the original Xbox? What do you call that? And they just go, that's just the original Xbox. It's fine. It's the first Xbox as opposed to Xbox One, which is the third Xbox. So it was a little bit confusing, but I think it worked out for him in the end. We get a giant computer tower, which will be coming for the high-powered Xbox Series X. So that'll be fun to try and fit into our entertainment consoles. And we got the PS5. The most that we know about it visually is the dev kits, which kind of look like boomerangs, which we all know that dev kits are weird.
It has the V in the middle with all the ventilation. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. The final unit is definitely going to be much sleeker. Dev units are typically very much an eyesore. They're just built for power, and they're built to have a ton of fans and a ton of exhaust, so people can build to a somewhat spec of what it's going to be the final end result. So they build on these kind of temp dev kits. Right, and they're like, this is an approximation of what the final unit's gonna be power wise. So, the looks come a little bit later.
But Dave, those were their top news of 2019.
Yeah,
let's take a broader look. Right, I mean, we're ending a decade here.
Yep.
Right, this is it for the teens, the 20 teens.
20
right?
Oh, it's so weird to say.
I know. I thought it'd be fun if we take a look. And some outlets are doing like the top 10, top 20, the top 100 in some cases, games of the decade. But I thought it'd be fun if we pick the top game of the decade for each platform. And as a side note, we do a third-party one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So let's take a look back at the last decade. And let me start this off. You started off the nominees, so I'm going to start off the games of the decade. My top third-party game of the decade has to be The Witcher 3.
Golf claps all around. Kudos to CD. Not to cut you off, but kudos to CD Projekt Red for not having any microtransactions, for providing tons and tons of free content. Right. There were 2 DLC things, I think, Iron and Blood and another one, the Crown or the something King or something like that. But those were optional. There was, I think, 14 or 20 different free downloadable updates to that game. They just kept giving out free content, and they were definitely committed to that.
And then it came out again on the Switch, right? Sort of. This is the only game, really, where I have it on the Switch, PS4, and Xbox One.
Yeah, you don't have a PC version. I'm very upset then.
Yeah, and I probably never will.
Yeah, and now to take it full circle, Netflix just dropped the whole season 1 of the Witcher. So we get this nice live action with Henry Cavill
with Superman.
Right, with Superman from Batman v Superman. So there you go. It all comes full circle.
All comes full circle for the last decade.
Right? So
and this is my first like foray into like a real big RPG, right? When we first
and
started the
it
show.
is big. You cannot
It is
overemphasize how big this game is.
And I put like a good 8-9 hours into this game.
Mm-hmm. Well, you should times that by 100, and then you'll maybe be able to get to all the content. I'm half kidding.
I was doing a lot of the side missions, and then
Oh,
I played
yeah.
a lot of the card games. I was
Yeah,
playing the card
Gwen.
game for a
Oh,
while.
it's so good. It's
I
so
know.
good. They had it as a standalone game. I think they most recently just took it off the store. I think, but yeah, it was like so popular they made it its own downloadable game you could play on like Steam and PlayStation and the Xbox store. So yeah,
what
super
would be,
cool.
what would be your third party game?
Oh, Dan, it. There's no question. Grand Theft Auto V. All right, the fifth one in the series, GTA 5, baby. I mean, that game. Like, if I look it up now, I would bet money that GTA is still in the top 20 selling games on the charts right now. And that game came out in
Every month.
2013.
Every
Yes,
month, top
it
10.
is insane. They now have Grand Theft Auto Online. They just released the casino, which they just opened up in the game world. So there's a whole bunch of new stuff you can do there. They are consistently supporting this game. Even after like Red Dead. Consistently supporting this game. Even after like Red Dead 2 came out, which was an even bigger game, and in my opinion, a better game, but GTA kind of has proven its worth. It's been on the charts. It's never left the charts, right? Consistently here. Everyone still loves the game. Everyone streams it on YouTube and Twitch, and they're modding the hell out of it. Like, just
How is this
insane.
game still top 10 every month?
That's what I'm
on
saying.
the charts. Who the fuck doesn't have this game already?
That's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, people like you that buy it on PlayStation and Xbox and Switch and
Well, I wish it was on Switch. I would buy it on the Switch too.
yeah, right.
Well,
it's the one game they need to port to the Switch.
Think about this. We don't have a brand new Grand Theft Auto this generation. This was
Nope.
a port of the Xbox 360.
That is 100%
PS3
correct.
generation.
100% correct. I played it on the Xbox One. It was beautiful. It was a very good game.
I have a PS3.
So yeah, GTA baby.
So my Xbox game of the decade has to be Gears 3. I love Gears 3. I mean, this was the conclusion of the series, of the trilogy, right? Some people didn't like the ending. No surprise. They're not liking the ending of a third game, right? But I thought this I thought the ending was perfect. I thought it pulled your heartstrings midway through, right? I'm not going to spoil anything for you. The mechanics were sort of tightened up from the first game, obviously. I love Gears 3. It was, matter of fact, and I told you I played it backwards. I played Gears 3, 2, and then 1 in Judgment, right?
Oh wow.
So I beat Gears 3 before I beat the first two.
Jeez, that's crazy.
I played the first two before I played Gears 3.
But you didn't get to
But
the
I
end to kind of complete. Yeah.
But I beat Gears 3 before I beat 2 and then beat 1.
Oh
in
wow.
Judgment.
Wow.
So I already knew what was
know.
going to happen.
Sure. Yeah. Gears 3, I think, I want to say that's the last one that Cliffy B had a hand in, right? Because he worked for Epic, and, this was his baby, Gears of War, right? He made the first trilogy, and then he was like, I'm out. Gonna do my own thing. Start up Boss Key Games, and we all know how that turned out, sadly. But,
Yeah.
that
That should not be talked about. Let's not talk about bad things with the thing.
Too late. But my pick for Xbox game of the decade here is a. Now you want to talk about underrated games, Dan? You want to talk about games that didn't get any love? Titanfall 2 from Respawn Games.
Sleeper hit. Look at you.
First one I thought was great, but it didn't have any single player, to its detriment, and everyone kind of knocked it for that. There's no story or whatever. I thought the multiplayer was good. You can ride around in these giant mechs. You can pop out of your mech and ride on foot if your mech dies, or you want to kind of sneak up. I thought it was pretty cool. Part 2 put a whole story mode in there. They kind of fixed that. They fixed up the multiplayer a bit. I thought it was great. And then Respawn goes on to do Apex Legends, which is technically still, actually they said it's still in the Titanfall universe. So I don't know if they're going to bring Titans to Apex Legends at any point in time and try and, bridge those games together. Who knows? But I really hope they do a Titanfall 3. All right.
They better do a Titanfall 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, look, Jedi Fallen Order did so well. Let these guys do a Titanfall 3.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know if I agree with. Well, I definitely don't agree with it being for the decade, but I love Titanfall 2, and I beat it. It got sandwiched in. I mean, it was put out to die. It got sandwiched in between Call of Duty and Battlefront.
Yep.
And I definitely gravitated towards the Call of Duty, and I played Battlefield 1, so it sort of died out for me. But I beat it this year. I went back to it at some point this year. And I beat it this year.
At my behest, right? I think. I was like, Dan, you got to go back. It's a good story.
Yeah, and the story was great. I played it over. I played it over.
Right.
I actually made it halfway through, and I had to play it over because I forgot how to.
Yeah, it had those great time travel mechanics. So you could kind of flip between time periods, which was like super cool. You could do the wall running with your guy. They added a bunch more weapons and power ups in the game. Like it was great.
Just being in the mech and the mech throwing you and doing some platform. That was awesome. So I do agree. Titanfall 2 underrated game.
Nice.
But come on, PlayStation. Let's get the PlayStation. Obviously, PlayStation.
Dan's favorite console over here, right? Not to play favorites or anything, but
PlayStation 4 dominated this generation.
Yeah. We definitely all know, if you have listened to the episodes, Dan loves to talk about PS4 sales numbers.
I talk about the Xbox One sales numbers when they actually put it out.
Which is funny. So we never know. The Xbox could be doing better than the PlayStation. So
they sold over 100 million copies, maybe not.
Yeah. That was definitely a story we broke this year. And good for Sony. Combined sales over the 4 PlayStations, right? 100,000.
Oh yeah. 100 million? Well, over all the consoles, even the handhelds, best console maker like ever, right? Because of that, they have the 2 best selling consoles of all time,
right? The PS2 and the PS4.
Yeah. So, but the PlayStation game of the decade has to go, in my opinion, to God of War.
Dan, correction. In our opinion, we both chose God of War.
Both chose God of War. I love God of War, and it definitely had that crazy ending, like sort of, not crazy ending, but it had that ending where it like, whoa, you found out the kid's real name or what they wanted to name the kid, which leaves wide open for sequels, right? Yep. Or what they could do with the story. And they made Kratos, they humanized Kratos, which was just who knew they could do that, right?
Yeah, and you weren't crazy on the earlier ones in the series, but this one really got to you. And I think a major part was the kind of story, the not ham-fisted story of the previous ones, where it was just rage, kill, right? He's a killing machine, which was cool. And I love the character. Hell, I went for him as Halloween, but this one definitely had a more humanistic tone to it for sure. And combat's still great, combat on point. Fighting with your kid,
the axe comes back to you when you throw it.
It kind of warbles, and there's been a ton of videos dissecting why this game is so great. And you should definitely take a look on YouTube. There's a bunch of good people out there who do like in-depth analysis. There's one guy that does an analysis just on the axe itself, right? There's all these like little things they did to get the look and the feel of the axe just right, and the way they have it come back to you, like they kind of bend it in a certain way. Like it's wild. It's wild.
But I will say, as a side note, God of War, definitely my choice, our choice.
Yep.
But for me personally, Uncharted 4 came in a really close second. It was
our game of the year 2016, right?
Yeah, it could have been a coin flip right there. Uncharted 4 definitely tied up all the notes from all the first 3 games. Better mechanics, bigger story. It tied up the storylines from all 3 games previous, even the handheld game that wasn't even made by the same developer.
Oh yeah.
And then it gave you a surprise ending. which pulled on your heartstrings. Really close, but I had to give it to God of War, especially with the mechanics and how they humanized Kratos. I had to give it a nod. So let's end this by talking about Nintendo.
Everyone's
and I think
beloved.
we muy simpatico on this one as well, as far as game of the decade.
Right.
All the Nintendo games that they released, and they released a lot of good Nintendo games.
They did.
But we have to both give it to The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
That's right.
As Dave called it, Breath of the Wild.
As you called it, Breasts of the Wild. That was you, Dan. That was you.
I think the community, the audience knows it was you. But it's
Listen. You can go back to listen to episode I don't know, 40. It's definitely in the 40s. It's one of our early episodes. But yeah, Dan happened to slip up there.
Yeah, I know. You did.
And
it's okay.
and maybe we can't agree on who messed up, but we can agree that this game is a masterpiece, and that is the important part. I mean, I just want to say, for me, they definitely, and it shows, they definitely went back to the roots of Zelda. So what made Zelda great, right? The exploring, the kind of finding dungeons and kind of, poking around and doing your own thing. There was like zero hand holding in the game. Right, in Breath of the Wild, you just start off on the mountain and they just push you and they let you go. And they go, here's some basic mechanics, and like, go ahead, explore. And that just like got to me. I was like, I'm sold.
The only thing, I mean, this game isn't perfect.
No,
it is a Wii U port to the Switch, technically.
Technically, it is, yes.
Technically. And the only thing, my biggest complaint about the game is the weapons disintegrating after a while, right?
Oh, not a fan of that.
Not a fan of the weapons breaking. But this was my first Zelda game I really poured my time and effort into, right? They had some boring moments when you traverse in the land and there was nothing to do.
Yep, there were some wide open expanses for a little bit. I think those are a little few and far between, to be fair.
True.
Usually there was like
exploration, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that part. Still haven't beaten it, as I said earlier in the show. First Zelda game I beat was Zelda: Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Which didn't even have Zelda in it.
Right.
But I gotta say, this game was a masterpiece. Really love this game. If you look at my Switch, I synced the most hours that I've ever synced in any other game, console game at least. Not, handheld, because I think Tetris is probably something I've put more hours into than anything else in the world.
Combined over all the versions, sure. I think everybody's clocked more hours in Tetris than any other game known to man.
But I would like to give a little love to the second game that just almost made my game of the decade for Nintendo, and that's Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh yeah,
Come on. I mean, they've reinvented Mario so many times in the past, and something like Mario Sunshine, where it was like hit or miss with the sort of jetpack, the water pack, right?
And Mario Sunshine for sure.
Mario Sunshine, but no one liked it, but they reinvented Mario with mechanics for capping. Everybody loved it, right? Something they love so much, where you can make merchandise off of, and you can continue the series and take that mechanic to another level, right? Going forward with like maybe Mario Odyssey 2. It just, we were in high contention about what would make game of the year that year, with Mario Odyssey and Zelda coming out in the same year, with Zelda just squeaking out towards the end. And same thing here with the game of the decade. I think these are the two best Nintendo games of the decade, with Zelda Breath of the Wild just squeezing out, just ahead of Mario Odyssey. Yeah.
It was a banner year for Nintendo.
You take control of a freaking dinosaur with your hat.
You do. I mean, it was a banner year for Nintendo. Zelda, Mario, ARMS, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which obviously
Splatoon. I think Splatoon 2 came out that same year as well.
Splatoon 2, I think, was June of that year. They just had hit after hit after hit. It was great. And it was this brand new handheld console. 2017 was a great year, and Legend of Zelda is an amazing game. I know we talked about it on the last episode, but that was one of my that unseated the original Legend of Zelda as my favorite Zelda game, and it now enters the top 10, my personal top 10 games of all time. So It holds. Actually, yours too. Yeah. No, I forget to say we both had it on the list. So that's pretty solid. And I think on that note, and it is a very good note to end the year on, we say goodbye to 2019. Dan, do you have any last words for the fans here?
It was a good decade.
Mm-hmm.
PS4 reigned supreme. Xbox 360 started the year off blazing hot. Started the decade off blazing hot, and PS4 reigned supreme. Nintendo definitely started off hot with the Wii, cold with the Wii U, mixed with the messaging, and then sort of ended it off blazing hot, better than any other console, right? It was a good decade, and I can't wait for the next decade to come. I can't wait, and then I can wait, because I know probably at the end of the next decade we're probably not going to have physical media anymore. Which is very sad as a collector.
I know.
However,
well, let's not think about that yet.
However, I will say I think 2020 is going to be one of the best years ever in gaming, and I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm not looking backwards. I'm looking forward.
Same. I agree 100%, Dan. So let's go ahead and usher out the last decade, and let's welcome in 2020 and a brand new decade. So here's to everyone. Here's to you, Dan. Here's to the fans. Here's to Rated G. And that's it. That's episode 199. So stay tuned next year for episode 200, where we reveal our game of the year of 2019. Who could it be? And also remember that this is the final episode with the final code to enter to win Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you missed that, go back earlier in the episode and take a listen. And if you missed the codes in the previous episodes, please go back and listen to those previous December episodes. Go back and listen to all our episodes of the year, because they are all great and entertaining, and we think you guys will really enjoy them. So for me and for Dan, we'll see you next year.